Hey guys, it's Universal is here, and we're back for another video to spread what is universally. But yeah, we're actually going to be doing part 2 to with Naruto had solo lemon, because this is my personal favorite series. And then I also want to give a big shout out, not this video, just ahead of time, because I know I'm forget. But to what if Sensei, I think got 4K subscribers. But yeah, I would love to give him a big shout out, even though it doesn't really apply. But yeah, because I'm be my next video on this channel, I'm gonna be doing what if Naruto was the shield hero, which I honestly really like. But I'm gonna be changing up. It won't exactly be what if Naruto was a spear hero. It'd be what if Naruto was a spear hero. So yeah, I just wanted to give thanks towards that idea in the first place. But let's get into this recap. So we're starting off with we started off last time with Naruto jumping in the way of bullies for Hinata and him getting his throat slit. Of course, I know how graphic that sounds, but he gets his throat slit, and then afterwards he gets the little pop up saying that if he becomes a player he could survive. And Hinata killed one person. Hinata killed one of the bullies herself, and went to the third Hokage nearly and attacked him, though she was not in the right state of mind. So yeah, and Naruto did his quest. So yeah, he ends up actually getting the reward. He did not get the rewards. I would like to change that from last time. He does not know about this. He's not that smart. He's not smarter than Sung Jin Woo. I will completely admit that. And Sung Jin Woo did not even know about that. So yeah, he gets the dagger that he has as like the quest reward. I think that's actually the Resket. I can't pronounce the name, but it's like a snake dagger. So yeah, that's how Sung Jin Woo actually got that. Sorry for the notifications, but yeah, that's how Sung Jin Woo got that. But that's not what I'm doing for Naruto. I just reread like the entirety of the series within that 1 week. Yes, I even read the Chimera arc. So yeah, let's get straight into the video now. He gets the reward and he goes back and he's exhausted. He can't really do much, and he doesn't feel like going to the penalty round. So of course, he just kind of collapses there and goes to sleep. And then when he wakes up, he's like, what is this feeling? Because he could feel something like ominous, like someone looking at him almost. And that's actually a very scary feeling if you ever had that feeling. I have. But yeah, he's like, who's looking at me? And like he could somewhat feel where it was, because the system, he actually did exactly what Sung Jin Woo did, which is, I'm not even gonna lie, which is go straight into sentences. So he could feel exactly where it was coming from. It's like, and it's like a splitting headache that's giving him it. And it also giving him a split headache. So he knows he has to be quite powerful to be doing this. So he looks to the side and he sees two figures. One is a pale figure with snake-like features, obviously Orochimaru, and the other he could barely see. Long hair, crimson red eyes, piercing him, the one that's giving him that feeling. And he could tell something's going to happen soon. Maybe not right then and there, as they could have attacked him long ago. He even felt that feeling within his dreams. But those piercing crimson red eyes disappeared, and the pale figure went on top of a different building and nearly disappeared. He reappeared with a big old smile, popping up at Naruto, saying, "Hey, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, we'll be back for you," and then leaves as 3 ninja, Kakashi, Might Guy, and of course, my favorite, Jiraiya, all rushed them. And Orochimaru actually did not leave the Katsuki. I'm just saying that now, because he still, as far as he knows, the body's still working great, and he's not scared of Itachi enough to leave, because he know if Itachi was this strong, Sasuke could be even stronger over time. So he wants to stick with Itachi to see the full capabilities of the Sharingan, so he could teach Sasuke. He still has the goal of taking over Sasuke's body. So yeah, let's go. So they disappear, and then Kakashi, they stop to see who Orochimaru was looking at, and sees Naruto. He's like, and like he kind of like takes out a kunai and like break I don't know how to explain this correctly. You know how like in the spy movies where they put a laser and like they make a little hole in the glass? That's exactly what he does with his kunai. So he takes out the glass and he's like, hey, did Orochimaru do anything? Are you in a genjutsu? He's like kind of tests it. He says release. Like he's just looking with his Sharingan and all sorts of things to check if he was in a genjutsu or not. And he was actually not. And so he's like, well, I hope you're okay. Never go near that man. He's very dangerous. And Naruto says, I know, I can feel it. And you're quite powerful as well. You're giving me the same feeling he did. And Kakashi's astounded. And he's like, how did you know that he was very powerful? He's like, well, he just, when I first woke up, he was sitting there with someone with red eyes, and they were just looking at me, and their feeling gave me a splitting headache. You don't give me a splitting headache, but you give me some of a headache as well, so I could tell you're quite powerful. And to say that you're even releasing all your power on me would to be a lie. So you probably would give me a splitting headache, and they would probably kill me with their power. And he's like, oh, well, I'm surprised you know this much. And of course, Naruto's like, well, I'm going back to sleep now, so see you later. And then Kakashi says, yeah, see you, and then leaves. Now, when Naruto wakes back up, he does the same thing. He does his morning routine, of, going to the thing, but he actually is also in thought, just like, he's actually thinking about what those red eyes were, and what possibly could give you red eyes. And the only thought he could have was Sharingan, but he dismissed it as it was too tall to be Sasuke, and as far as Naruto knows, he was the only survivor left after the Uchiha massacre. And Naruto doesn't know the specifics of, like, who massacred it, so he doesn't know about Itachi to say. So he's like, no way, maybe it was the Ketsurugan. Because for those who don't know, Ketsurugan also have red eyes. Very weird red eyes. Nothing like Sharingan's. But he's like, no, I could definitely tell it was Ketsurugan. They would definitely use my own blood against me. So he is like ultimately afraid to ever meet that person again. So he notices down to the left that he completed everything, but it kept tracking. He was at 12 kilometers. He had 12 kilometers, which I think is how much you have to run. 10 was how much you have to run. So yeah, he's like, oh well, I guess I should keep going and see what that does. And he maxes it out, and he realizes he can't go past 20. So no double. So he does like 200 more push-ups with his clones. Like he summons 4 clones, and each do 50. So it makes it work a little bit easier. So yeah, and my brother's also having a fit again. But yeah, and then he gets the double reward with the subs and everything. So and then he chooses one thing. He chooses he actually chooses a cursed gift box, which gives him the Demon Castle Key. Sorry, I cannot talk right now. But yeah, he does that, and then he also gets his status points and everything. But he also gets a different key for a lower rank dungeon. he goes to like the force of death and uses the key, and it's basically just like dogs. Like it's basically what Sung Jin Woo first one was, and he absolutely slashes everything in half because he has the sword, the dagger. So he absolutely slashes everything in half. It was very easy for him. He was in there for about 6 hours when he finally realized he doesn't have that headache no more. So obviously that means there was around the same. The boss dungeon and him was around the same height. Well, same strength, I should say. He comes in there and he stabs him straight in the head. And also, while Sanjimu uses his points or senses and strength, Naruto uses his points or senses and magic, which is intelligence. So he is he's much more intelligent, I should say. Like he covered, it's like how I put it for the gamer. Well, I shouldn't say how I put it for the gamer, how the game put it for it. Where it was, he can memorize stuff way better. So he has that, and then he like kind of stabs it in his head, and it's like almost instantly over. And then, and then he's like, Shadow Clone Jutsu, and he finally reads the MP, which is connected to his chakra, and it says 10,000. And he's like, what? And he's like, that has to be a lie. In every game I played, you only start off with 100. Do I really have that much chakra? And you realize how much his shadow clones were taken away. And it was 1,000 each. It was not exactly 1,000, it was 100 each. Which, it should have been 10, really. Which, the, thing notes on it, by the way. He has this, it's like a skill. His notes on it. So he's like, well, I should train that later. And then he like kind of like just goes out. His reward for beating the guy was actually not Raskira's thing. It was his poison. Yes, his poison. And also the snake summoning. Yes, I decided to make a little Poloy. But he gets his snake summoning from there. And for those who read the manhwa, you know exactly where I'm going with this because you have absolutely read it. So yeah, I would suggest reading this so you can understand what I'm talking about. You don't have to though, because I'm gonna be explaining it later within the series. But he gets snake something. He's like, whoa, let me check this, and he does the little hand signs and everything. Technically he didn't need to. He just chose to. It says all you have to do is slam your hand to the ground and say snake summoning and activate their skill, but he does it just because he could. And it says snake summoning and puts his hand to the ground, and not exactly a baby, but it's about the size of Naruto, so it's still small by every means. So yeah, and then he's like, I can't summon it. It's like, and it says, as the skill progresses, the snake summoning you get will become better and better. So he's like, and it says, or you could put in even more MP points to do it. So he's like, oh, I wonder what I could do if I put all my MP points into it. But he says, like, that's connected to my chakra as well. So I shouldn't use all of it. Because I heard if you don't have no chakra, you could die. So he says, snake summoning, and puts in 9,900. So he literally has 100 left, just enough to get him fast. But then the snake that he summons is like giant. So everyone, since the dungeon is deteriorated, finally deteriorated because this snake was being summoned. So everyone thought like, oh crap, it's Orochimaru. He came back. Every ninja is like rushing towards it. But when they see Naruto on top of it, it's kind of like sitting there meditating because he realized how important it was. So he could get the MP back. Everyone's like, wow, this kid is a prodigy to even know this move. To know the summoning, and even more so considering how big of a snake he summoned. It's like basically Orochimaru's. And Orochimaru was actually not writing. This is not manga. It's as big as manga. It's Raskira's. It's actually Raskira. So yeah, but other than that, I'll be leaving it off. Actually, no, I actually do have a little more things to talk about. So yeah. So when he comes back and like he explains everything, he also has a sister named Naruto, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just had to do this. But yeah, he actually has a sister. So, of course, his sister is like, whoa, you're really cool, big brother. And it's like, no, you're cooler. Because she is about 7 years old. She's about 7 years old at this time. But she is very much a prodigy, as is her brother. And because it was actually a split. I'm saying this because for certain reasons. Naruto actually knew his parents for a short time until he was honestly 7 years old, obviously. But then when Naruto was born, Toby decided to do his plan, and killed Kushina and Minato. So Naruto was actually there. So the half of the Naruto is in Naruto, the other half is in Naruto. She has the good half, Naruto has his half, the one we're used to. But technically, it's not no really good. I just don't feel like explaining this. This is that's a whole separate video. But yeah, she can actually use for short versus Kurama's chakra, not chakra mode. She can use up to 3 tails. But then Naruto realized, wait, with this power, I can maybe be able to control the 9 tails. So he starts training like crazy. But yeah, everyone knows those two now. After these events, everyone knows these two as the two it was like the big three of anime, but instead the big three prodigies. You have Naruto, who's actually is actually a year behind Naruto. That's how great she was. She actually got skipped forward because she was that great. But yeah, she is like incredible. And then you have Sasuke Uchiha, obviously. So he's an absolute prodigy. And then you have Naruto. And then everyone was unexpected of him. He got so much stronger in such a certain amount of time that everyone just kind of realized, well, he's a prodigy. You can't really bully him no more. Because all the Chunin that ever tried to after that were just straight up slammed to the ground. He did put a little bit into strength. So he's like, I never feel like dealing with you! And slams them straight into the ground. And Naruto, if they ever tried to bully her, which no one does, she would just like summon 2 tails real quick and slot them, like absolutely demolish them. But yeah, there's the big three, and Sakura fangirling over Sasuke as usual, but she kind of has a crush on Naruto. But he does not reciprocate for some pretty obvious reasons. For those who don't know, when you gain this power and you get level ups, you actually lose a part of when you use the status thing, you lose a part of yourself as payment. For those who don't know, when you use status heal fully, you lose a part of yourself. That Sunjin Woo in the Alter Creed literally says it. He literally says, every time I use this, I feel like I lose a part of myself. So yeah, you lose some type of emotion. It's very similar to how Meliodas, when he dies, he loses an emotion to come back to life. So yeah, that's pretty much it. He doesn't reciprocate due to that. The first feeling he ever lost was the feeling of love. He never lost the feeling of being loved. He lost the feeling of love itself. He can't give it to people he didn't already have it for. Like, he can't give it to Sakura, but he could give it to Naruto. Other than that, it's universal. It's rugging off.